Welcome everyone
Yay.
to this week's Art Jam with Rodine and myself, Chantal. We're having a little bit of fun trying to get this set up because, and actually appropriate to the topic, because are we there yet? Basically, how much healing do you need to do? And Facebook wouldn't let me go live, and it's still saying we're preparing on live stream. In fact, we already are live. So it's just one of those things where you've got to be very mindful what you say in case people can hear you, right, Rodine?
And it would have been me dropping an F-bomb. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's right.
that would be me. Oops.
Yep. And I think I've grown to like the F-bomb because I was brought up, oh my goodness, no way do you swear. Because my mum was brought up on the farm in a respectable family. And I'm saying that deliberately because there was what you call paddock talk. And so the boys, so she had 4 brothers older than her and grandpa. So when and with this, staff and, when they came in to do the shearing and all that, they could do whatever they wanted in the paddock. As soon as they came to the front door or the back door, off went the clothes, out the window with the talk, and you walked in and you were nice and proper.
Behaved.
That's right. And you had your cup of tea in your, that's exactly, you've got your cup of tea. And
I have
like
my
that.
tea.
That's right. And so therefore, that was, and then if they were mischievous in front of my grandmother and my mother, well, straight back out the door they went. Whereas nowadays, the F-bombs, just everywhere.
Yeah. Yes. It is.
But I think for me, there's a time and a place for it too, because if you use it too often, I mean, this is my thoughts. Anyone else watching, love your thoughts too. It loses its oomph. If you just say it all the time, for me, it loses its oomph,
I don't know, what I like it so much that but I think there is an appropriate place for it, for sure, right? And if you do use it too much in your conversation, I do think you kind of start to sound not so intelligent.
Yeah, that's
right. And or whatever that is. And I'm saying that for myself, right? Like that's because I know certainly if I'm getting heated about a topic or something, I will pepper my conversation, my points with the F-bomb.
You pepper it and I'll salt it. It's true. When I was living in Switzerland, I was working, I met an American girl, highly intelligent, highly, up there. And she was a she was under the financial officer and highly intelligent, but she used the F-bomb. I mean, and particularly in those days, this was how much 30 years ago, more than that, 35 years, and in a very conservative environment in Switzerland and all that. And in the end, I just and she was wearing beautiful suits and her hair all up. And I went to her quietly and said, being very British and at that time not using the word, I'd suggest perhaps a little less because of the people you're dealing with. So then we made a deal that every time she said it around me, she'd put 5 rappen, 5 rappen, which would be 5 cents, into a jar, and then she'd take me out for a delicious lunch. I had a lot of delicious lunches.
Yeah, see, you might have a lot of delicious lunches with me too.
Yes, that's right. Probably. So there you go. So anyhow, what has that got to do with our topic? Nothing.
Just fun. The F-bomb and fun.
That's right. The F-bomb and fun. That's right. I think I've got it gone red. I've blushed. I've blushed for years. Oh my God, I'm having a bit of a moment, ladies. A moment. I can't even say it's menopause anymore because I'm well out of that. So today we wanted to talk about, and it came up a while ago it actually came up last week. We were ending. How much more healing do you need to do? Particularly when you feel like you've looped back into a place, you feel like you're here again.
Yes. And the healing process, because it takes so much energy and mindfulness and all of that, and then it does sometimes feel like just when you think you're getting to a place where it will be easier, where maybe you've integrated more healing, right, that things have shifted, and then of course you end up with something coming up, and it just can feel like you end up just shot down again, and you go, oh my gosh, am I back here? Like, haven't I learned anything? Haven't I done anything? I feel like I've just been working so hard on this.
That's right. Exactly right. And I think we're talking about it too, because but last week we both didn't. Well, I'll speak for myself. I'm coming out of the depression now, which is just fantastic. I'm feeling
Nice.
a lot better.
Excellent.
And thank you. It's just like a relief. But I think we're talking about, because I thought, how did I end up here again? How did I end up in this? And what I realized and I can now say that it gave me a lot, which I don't want to. I don't want that toxic positivity anymore and those platitudes, because something I wrote in a post yesterday in a group I'm in was that when we say to someone, like, you've got a lesson to learn, or you like it's karma, or it's like there must be something wrong with me. How did I create this? And I'll never ever say that to anyone ever again, because you know what, I hit that depression. Did I create it? Did I contribute to it? Was it karma? Was it whatever? No. Sometimes something is what it is.
I like that, because the other way is more about blame.
That's it.
On the surface, I think it can sound like or feel like we're trying to problem solve it ish. But I think it feels much like blame.
Yes.
Shame.
That's
right?
it.
Like that we should be ashamed again. And when you're dealing with trauma and healing from trauma, you're trying to get out of that place, right? And so then to even have messaging that is meant to be supportive, feel like more of what you're just getting out of. It can be incredibly saddening, right?
That's exactly right. I think if I'm going to look back and say I learned a lesson, that was something that was powerful, and how we still don't have conversation around these big topics, whether it be depression, grief, trauma, PTSD. I observed on and another observation I made around this was, when you have a cast on or a scar or something, we relate to that because we can go, ouch.
Yes. Yeah.
We can go, oh, you poor thing, you've hurt your ankles this big, you've hurt yourself. Oh, ouch. I can feel it, I can still feel it now because I've damaged my ankle in the past. But when I say to you I'm depressed, and there's nothing relatable to that on me.
Yeah.
So how do we say? We can't say ouch or poor you, or so in a way what it did was, and again, we shouldn't be reliant on social media and that, but then it made me realize, it actually triggered me a bit, because like, oh, well, I'm bearing my soul here because I really want to talk about depression and that. Yet people did see it, people do scroll by, but I realized even just put a little heart on it, or a little like, or just something. Now, do I need that validation? Yes or no? But it was just interesting to see how a swollen ankle got this, and talking about depression was this.
Yeah.
And I saw another girl, she talks a lot about trauma and that, and she actually had people say to her, your feed is always negative. And she'd actually, no, it isn't. And I said, no, I'm glad you're talking about it.
Yeah. You're right. People do see that as negative, right?
Yep.
Oh, and people don't want to hear it.
That's right. And I think, and anyone who's watching, do make comment if you like, or just let us know how you feel, and same on YouTube, because it is about making the conversation. It is about not feeling you're waving.
Oh, I'm just
sorry.
I
thought you were saying
down, and
to
it's
someone.
like I can see two people watching.
So can
I?
I'm
just
kind
kind
I
of
thought you were doing
waving.
that. I might say something to you.
Well, they can see me, but not through my phone, and I'm waving at my phone.
Here we go. I think today's going to be one of those days. We're talking about a complex situation, but also we need to bring humor in, because this is what not humor in the sense of it. Sometimes that breaks that cycle, doesn't it? It breaks the heaviness and just sort of like it's a relief there. But and you were saying it was bringing up more of that shame, or yes, there's something wrong with me, or yeah, it was just really a powerful time.
Yeah. Well, and I think we talked about this after our show last week, when we were talking about the whole, when is it over? When is enough? Like when,
Yes.
right? So there were two things. I just want to say them both out loud so that we do touch on them. Oh, now one's gone. One of them, though, and I believe it was you who said, even though it feels like we've gone back to that place, we actually haven't. It's not to the same place. It just
Yes.
feels so familiar that that to us kind of alerts our brain to go, oh no, warning, right? But we're not at that same place. The place that we're at is different. And it is, if you want to think about it in terms of, being low and at your lowest point, like every time you do start to feel better, you are up a bit, right? And so you don't go back all the way down. It's just a little bit of a step, right? It's just a little bit of a step backwards. And that's okay. Like, that's okay. And then if we give ourselves that permission to just be okay with being there again, then we can, right? Then we can just kind of go, oh yeah, okay. Feels familiar, but it's not the same, really. And it then does, we can problem solve it better if we need to problem solve.
Yeah.
We can then use the tools that, whatever those may be, right? And I think we do then come out of it faster.
No,
Right?
and I really, yes, absolutely, all of the above. And I think you really capitulated, or I don't know what you want to, how I was, because even though I felt like I had gone back, like you said, part of me knew it was different, but the difference this time was that I knew how to support myself.
Yes.
And I had the
you
tools in
have.
place to support myself. Now, it took me a little bit to actually admit that I was feeling depressed. And I think I mentioned in one of the other ones, it was a very clear message. And I'm always sure it's my late father when it comes that clear. I was sitting quietly in my morning routine. He said, you are depressed. It was that clear. And the other one was, go on antidepressants. It was like, okay, so that was very clear. So then once I got that message, then it was like, okay, I'm depressed. Then I put things into place.
Right.
Because I had the things in place. And this is why when I first started doing the work that I do, is I really wanted to get women to have tools or have support around them before that you go into it. We're busy, we think we've got it all together, and we don't calculate that something will happen. So I was finding it quite a challenge to say to people, learn to meditate now, do tapping now while you're in this, because when you are in it, I still need people to support me when I'm in it. To remind me to
we
do.
all do. We all do. We need those
right.
safe people where we can just say, something, I'm really struggling right now. Like I'm really struggling right now. I could use whatever, if you can say, right?
Yes.
Could you come and just keep me company? I'm not going to be entertaining you, but man, it would just be nice to have someone to sit and watch TV with.
That's it. That's it.
You
That's
know?
it. And I think that only comes with when I look back, so I think coming back to the point that you made, it is different now, because in the past I couldn't have done that because I wouldn't have known what I needed.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't know what you don't know. Whereas now, so this is coming back, how much more do I need to do? How much more healing? I felt this time it was different. I wasn't healing, I was just being with it. So like you said, I could sit in it, as the discomfort and all. Like you said, I just went, okay, here I am. I will work through it. I will ride the wave. And as a consequence, it lifted quicker,
Yeah. Yes. Okay. See, that actually triggered in the best way my memory. so having said that, you said that you just allowed yourself to sit in it, to be okay with it. You did what you needed. It wasn't a big frantic, I have to do all these things. And remember, what didn't we say, speaking of that maybe we don't need to, right? So I have to do this. I have to do these things so that I can get better. And I'm pretty sure you and I had said, well, what if we don't need to? What if we just need to give ourselves permission, like safely? Because of course, I mean, we all know ourselves. If you've dealt with depression or anxiety, trauma, you know what is safe for you and what isn't, right? So you did get the antidepressants because you knew you had to, right?
Yeah.
But aside from that, what if it is okay to just be okay with it, to be okay with, well, yeah, this isn't feeling very good. Maybe it's just okay for me to not be okay right now.
Yes. And in a way, it sounds contradictory, but in a way, that's what's, as you said, supports you. When you don't resist, when you don't feel you need to be anything else, you don't need to try and make sense of it. Again, how did I get here? And is there a lesson to be learned? And I was able to actually say to someone, please don't say to me, this is a blessing. Because she said, oh, this is a blessing for you. I said, please just don't. So at least I could actually have my voice and say, no, don't say that. Because right at this moment, this does not feel like a blessing as I'm going through it. But I think coming back to what you're saying, that support. So I knew I had the psychologist. So I went straight back to her, had the appointment. So you know that you're being held and supported. And when I finally had the courage, I contacted a couple of friends. I had more, they didn't quite get it. So again, then that's when I realized we still don't understand how to be around someone, again, with mental issues versus if someone had a broken leg, oh, I can come and do the vacuum cleaning for you, or I can come and make you food. Whereas when you have a like depression or whatever it is, grief, people don't seem to think that because you can still function, you can still get up. And in theory, physically, you can do that, So it was a big eye opener for me to see where we are still lagging, in my opinion, in society, even though there's a lot more talk about it than there's ever been, but there's still a lack of understanding.
Well, I think it's because maybe you and I are right now, but maybe that's because not the right conversations perhaps aren't happening in the right spaces. Because how do you reach out to someone who says that they're depressed? I think there's probably a lot of fear on people's part that they're then going to be burdened and having to listen to someone over and over and over again, which I know can happen. But when I was at my worst, holy man, if someone had come over and said, you know what, I'm going to come, you just do what you need to do, but I'm going to come and I'm going to vacuum and mop your floors for you. And I'm going to cook you something to eat because you probably haven't been eating well. And if someone had done that, I mean, I probably would have said, oh, no, I'm fine. But I mean, the other reaction, I would have been saying that as I would have been bawling, because to have that level of kindness shown, and you're right, at that point, I didn't know how to ask for that. Right. So it's like this kind of unknown territory.
It is. And you're right. And it's unknown for both parties. Well, it's not for me now, it's known, but it is unknown, as you said initially. So when I look back, like you would have gone, no, I'm fine. I don't need that, because I didn't want to be a burden. As you said, you feel ashamed, you're feeling and you're putting someone else out because, of course, it's about everyone else, not you. And I learned a long time ago, it's like, well, would you want to help someone? Yes. Well, why don't you allow them to help you? Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, that's always interesting.
It is always interesting. And it's like, well, why aren't you giving them the opportunity to give you? They want to do it. They wouldn't offer if they didn't want to. And also the difference with this time was that, like you said, I knew what I wanted or what I needed. I knew it this time. You know, once I was able to acknowledge and admit and accept I was in depression, once I felt comfortable asking for help, I knew what I needed, you know, and that's a difference. So again, how do we, you know, we are here again, how much more healing do you need to do? I realized this wasn't so much about healing as I'm just talking. It was more about me just understanding, being present. It highlighted some things where it needs a little bit more, I suppose, healing awareness. Yeah, love. That's it. I prefer love. Because I feel now I'm in my time of my life where I no longer need to heal. I want to create my life. So it was actually just giving it it was supporting me to create the life that I want, and looking at where was I still perhaps holding on, or some things there needed a little bit more polishing, refining. But I'd rather have not gone in a deep depression, I have to be honest.
Yes, again, and that's where it's like, really, I needed that lesson, really.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like sometimes, oh, I try to be careful too now, even when I'm doing visualizations or when I'm trying to do an affirmation, like, I want to release all my blocks. And I'm like, back that truck up there, girlfriend. You better back that up, because, that could be big and messy. And it's like, oh, wait a second. I would like to release my blocks gently. It's like, I don't need any big things. I'm okay with gentle now. I've learned.
Yeah.
Make it gentle.
Yeah.
Help me, but be gentle, please.
Yeah, I love it. And that's exactly it. But I think also what I got caught up in over the years was like, you brought this upon yourself, as I said before, just things like that, look at that. I don't know. I'm changing my opinion on that big time, particularly when I went into the spiritual world. It's all about being happy and all about, love and light. And it's sort of, there's shame and all these things coming in. It was what it was. Something unleashed itself, and that's it. Yes, I can perhaps look at what led to it. Yes, I can. But I think, again, it's about, you said, being gentle and loving and not blaming yourself for getting there. Because that's, I think, how it's become in this popular way of doing healing and, all that, in my opinion, it's just, I've really just went, whoa, no. So that's why I wanted us to talk about and get other people's opinions on this, because it's, to see, or perhaps spark in someone, no, you're not at fault. I used to think, they said, people have said, like, you chose your parents, to come into this lifetime. I look back, and why would I choose the violent father and narcissistic mother to be who I am today? I mean, I don't know. I just sometimes find that now I cringe. I might change my opinion again down the track, but I think,
Yeah, I have not really thought much about that in that regard, right? I certainly did used to think that, that I, as spirit, right, when we are all wrapped in love and connected, that it's easy to, I think, make those decisions and choose something that's really challenging on earth. But that one now, I just think that is so beyond me. And honestly, I don't think it's a mystery that I really need to figure out. I mean, it is what it is. I don't know, because that's way beyond my knowledge of anything. So.
And I like your honesty, because I'm coming back to that now too, because I got caught, for me, I'm calling it, got caught up in all of that, and, your past lives and your, I mean, I do believe in generational stuff, that it comes through the DNA, but I'm really questioning. I mean, it suits some people, absolutely. But I'm finding at this point, no, I'm where I am. Yes, things have happened to me in life. Yes, I am who I am because I'm, because of that. And now I'm ready to create my life, and yes, I did end up here again. I did sit there and go, oh, yeah, fuck. you know.
Oh, I think I still have more I still have more ups and downs in a week. I mean, there is not a day there that doesn't have some form of up or down in it, some kind of ebb and flow. And I think I'm also at the place where it's like, you know what? And that's okay too. That's okay, because
Yeah.
no matter how together I get, I think that's just life. And
Yes.
I'm probably just putting all this undue stress on myself and beating myself up for shit that is just regular, normal life.
Exactly.
And this is, so what the heck?
Yeah, and I think you've hit on that because I was going to, as you were talking, the word we're human beings. This is about being
Yeah.
human. And,
Yeah.
you think of again in nature, love and light. Love and light, dark, day and night,
Mhm.
summer and winter. And John DeMartini talks a lot about this in his work, where, you're always going to have the opposites in your life.
Mhm.
That is part of life.
Yeah.
And I always remember him saying to me, and I did a bit of healing work with him many, many years ago, and I was talking about my anger with my father because he died at that point, and I was still going through all the stuff. And he said, okay, and it was really confrontational. He said, okay, even though you're feeling all this anger, so like the world hates, it becomes this. He turned around and said, who's loving you? I was like, what? He said, there's always going to be someone who is loving you, as well. So it was really, that really turned me around. And I think it is being human. That's why, and I keep saying it, it's impossible to be always in love and light, because that is not being a human being. It's not, in my opinion, it's not possible.
Yeah. I mean, I think there are some people that manage, but they're few and far between. And the rest of us are, I think, doing our best with whatever modality, wherever it is, wherever we're at. We're doing our best to just make sense of things so that we can, and enjoy a peaceful life.
But again, I feel, when you say someone managing, we are all managing in our own ways. I think it's when you don't want to believe, you don't want to go into that dark space. I need to. Yeah, it is. I think we're all human beings, no matter what, and we can think. I know I thought I was managing, in fact, when I wasn't really.
Yeah.
That's me. And I'm wondering how many
yeah.
So I think it's, how, and this is why I love these conversations, because they always bring something up, to think about and ponder and push you boundary. And that's why also, when anyone's watching or commenting, you might not agree with it, but it's just giving you reflection, food for thought.
Yeah.
Is that another way of looking at it?
Yeah. Well, I actually, about a week ago, I came across a suggestion to try. It's a meditation app, but it's his approach is completely different from what we're used to. And it actually really doesn't have anything to do with the brain and thinking and all of that and calming your mind and all that jazz at all. It is totally body focused. And I can't remember the name of his name. I did do the 7-day free trial, and I think I'm going to keep it for the next month to keep going, because here is what I found. I used to be a meditator, and I could meditate for hours. I did not follow any set anything. I figured it out myself. I did what worked for me. I incorporated these things in intuitively. But I mean, I could meditate for hours and I loved it. And then I got out of it. And then to get back into it, sometimes I can do breathing or whatever, but to really get back into it, I just went, oh my gosh, it feels like work. And you hear, oh, but you have to do it. It's so important. It's like, well, no, the connecting is important. Yes. But does it have to be in that way? And it was just this, I don't know. I haven't figured it out for myself where this all sits. I know it's important, right? So I tried this and I quite like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's no, just the way he does it is, it's just all about your body and feeling your body and
Yes. Yeah.
recognizing your senses. There's no thinking. There is no thinking. There's no analyzing. And I did. And he says, as soon as you pull in, right, and start to solely just get into your body, the brain quiets.
Yeah.
And dang it, he's right.
Right.
I'm like, oh, wow. And
That's
easy. And
yes.
I feel good and I feel connected and gratitude. And I'm like, oh, so maybe this is that missing piece for me of what we call mindfulness, right? Like you hear, chew your food, blah, blah, blah. It's like, so as we're talking about learning and talking about things and connecting, that's why conversations are important. I'm changing all the time and I'm always, curious about new things. So I had to try this. And I'm like, I really like this. This put a lot of other things in place for me too, in regards to spirituality and gratitude and all of it. I'm like, and it's so easy.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. And I think another thing, the word came through and you were talking about, we conceptualize things. So mindfulness has been conceptualized, meditation has been conceptualized. And I know when I was taught many years ago, I was taught what you call insight meditation, which is about going into your body and that. I didn't get it at the time. And I only realize now how powerfully he taught me to be, even though I chose for a while to step away from that and go too much into the analyzing, and particularly after when I was struggling with the PTSD, I needed to be there to come back here. And I think another thing you're saying is, it became easy. And I'm wondering whether it's because also you've tried so many different things and then you found the right, like, this is it. You've owned it. Like, you've come to this point where you can hear it now, maybe. I don't know. Because when I first started to teach meditation, my big thing was at the time was, yes, guided meditations are great, but you're still using someone else's words and their energy, and that you're not actually still here. You're still outside of yourself, rather than being, like you said, just in your body. Present.
Yeah. Well, when I first started meditating, there was no such thing as guided meditation back then. There was no internet. There was nothing. It was
just
heard about it and had to figure it out and just do it. But it still wasn't, it was still very different than this.
Yes, I
felt
agree.
Very different. But for me, those meditations, they were always fantastic. But I'll tell you, some of them, they were just amazingly wild, like mind-blowingly wild. More, I guess, more expansive than this feels at this point. It may get there because I've only just started. I mean, I've done it for a week, right? But it's also bite-sized pieces, which is nice. Like some of them are 7 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever. And then you can do longer ones. So it's kind of cool. I'm enjoying it.
And it's nice when you can find something that really resonates with you. And I think, again, as we're sort of coming to it's about finally coming to that point where you do things that are right for you. But I needed to go through the whole process of literally healing to find out, why was I still people pleasing or listening to authority versus myself? And then, like, now you can now explore and have fun. So again, coming back to what I said earlier, I'm now excited to be creating my life, because I no longer get so caught up in, I should do it this way, I should do it that way. Why can't I do it my way and express it to each one of us? Why don't we just sit here and go, why? Because again, what is wrong with me that I can't do that? Why can't I love myself and feel confident enough in myself to do it? the way that is right for me. You've got to get through those layers, don't you?
Really do. Yeah.
So
I
as
just
we come, sorry.
there was just a little nugget in what you said, and then it's gone. Oh, well.
I get that. All right. Anyone watching, obviously comment. Love to hear, get the conversations happening. Thank you, Rodine, again. Always love our times together. It's always so uplifting. And I think, like you said, something for me, I was thinking about it, how, because we've got such lovely trust and a sense of safety with each other, we can talk about things that perhaps we wouldn't express or find easy to express, which is just wonderful. I really like it. I think it's great.
I do too. And I really appreciate you. And it does, do you ever just giggle to think that, these are conversations that, people in our real world, we may not have with them, but here we are having this conversation, and it's all over Facebook and YouTube.
Right, that's exactly right.
I just kind of giggle. I'm like, oh, that's so interesting.
It is, because somehow there's a safety about the screens now. Because I was thinking the same thing, because we could put it out there, right? We could still get judged and goodness knows what else. But in this moment in time, between you and I, with us, and those who are what we don't. But yes, I was thinking the same thing. This is going to go out there. All right, look forward to seeing you all next week. And again, any topics, let us know.
Have a great week, everybody. And actually, I'm curious, if you catch this on the replay or you're here now, do you have a certain form of meditation or prayer that you like to practice that really works for you? Because of course, we're all different. And so there's going to be something that appeals differently. But I am really curious if there is a specific form of meditation or prayer that you prefer. I'd love to hear about it. Or we'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, agreed. Because you can always learn something new, can't you?
Absolutely.
It's lovely. And see what other people do. This is, again, the conversation. I hadn't thought of that. That's about being creative.
Yeah.
So, bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.